Today, I'm going to teach you how to master Baku on F1 2025, going through our usual video format of doing a low-speed lap, analyzing every corner around the track, then jumping in how to adjust a time trial world record setup and how to make it good for a racing condition. Wrapping up the video with a full-speed qualifying lap example, including my ERS strategy to maximize that lap time potential. Into turn 1 low for the low-speed lap analysis. You'll be braking at the 100-meter board and or where the curb is starting on the right hand side. If you want to be really brave late on the brakes, then you want to be braking where the curb starts, but if you want to be a little bit more conservative, brake where the 100-meter board is. If you go down into 3rd gear, it will help the rotation of the car. If you stay in 4th gear, it will just make the car a little bit more understeerly, but if you have an oversteery car and or worried about the rear end stepping out, then take it in 4th. But if you want the ultimate lap time potential, down into 3rd gear. Looking to be where the white line is on the inside, then running all the way out to the exit curbing, but only put 2 wheels on this outside curbing because it's very big and very tall, and as you can see, we actually bottom out on top of the curbing if we go all the way over it, so you're looking to avoid doing that. Running into the 2nd corner here in Baku, very easy to lock up the rear tires. The reason for that is if you see this distinct white line where my right hand side tire is just over, this is considered on the track right now by the game, and this is considered off the track by the game with my right hand side tire, as I just previously mentioned. So the reason that's so critical is when the game deems you to be off the racing circuit, past the white line, it's very dusty, it lacks grip, and that is why it's so easy to lock up the rear tires going into this corner, because you're actually going to be braking right up against the wall on the outside of the circuit for maximum track usage. But you are going to be suffering with your right hand side tires being on the dusty, less grippy surface, and that's why the rear tires is going to be moving around on you. But you will be braking when you come with the wall side by side with you. As you can see, the wall is curving into the circuit at the moment, so as soon as the wall basically goes straight on the right hand side, and or where this sort of blue and red sign is on the right hand side, that is an ideal place to be braking, so you can really focus on getting the car slowed down. But again, if you want to go super brave, brake at the 50-meter board, but ideally you're braking a little bit earlier so your car can be controlled, you can manage the rear locking. And then into the next left-hander, you want to be all the way over the inside curbing. The car will bottom out, but with the speed you travel, it will sort of level out the car, to be honest, and you won't really get negative side effects of that. You want to be down to the middle of the circuit right now. The reason is it allows you to travel a shorter distance down the straight, meaning, again, you're just traveling less distance around the lap, gaining a lap time advantage, even if it is marginal. The same rule from turn 2 applies here in turn 3. When you're on the outside of the circuit, it's quite dusty, lacking grip, and this is why the car can be slight instabilities, but you'll be braking at the 100-meter board, as you can see on the top right hand side of the screen right now. If you want to be a bit more conservative, brake at the 120 meters, because this is such a difficult braking zone. You'll be going down the gears into 3rd gear, get as close to the wall on the inside as you possibly can do, and then up on the exit, running right up against the wall, pulling the car instantly to the left hand side, and then the trees are covering a bit of the marker board here, but you can see 50 meters and you'll be braking about 55-60 meters before the corner. But again, it is quite difficult to see because the trees can be blocking your vision. Down into 3rd gear, 2 wheels on the inside curbing, really attack that as much as you can, then running right up against the wall on the exit. Pull the car to the right hand side as now you're coming into the next left-hander, and then this is such a difficult braking zone, to be honest. The rear tires are really starting to overheat on you because you had a lot of traction zones and a lot of braking zones also in the first sector. So yeah, the rear tires are already starting to lose grip, so you're going to be braking, to be honest, earlier than you actually think you might need to, just to compensate for the rear instability going into this corner, and you'll be braking 75-80 meters before the apex, and then going down into 4th gear for the first segment, and you're looking to keep the car tight to the wall as possible on the inside, so then you open up the following right-hander as much as you can. Down into 3rd gear, and then you want to commit to 2 wheels on the inside curbing, but don't get too greedy with this, otherwise it will compromise your exit. On the exit here now, you can run 2 wheels on the outside curbing and then just keep the steering wheel straight to maximize your traction potential on the exit. I like to put the braking bias up by a % here in qualifying, up to 55, but to be honest, in the race, I'd probably also go 56%. You'll be braking not really with a distinct marker going into this corner, but you'll be braking 65 meters before the apex, and this is such a slow corner. Down into second gear, and then you'll be using all the road on the entry. Be careful of the dusty surface. As I mentioned before, you do go past the white line if you stay close to the wall, and then you're cutting this curbing as much as you can in the second gear, and then right up against the wall on the exit as well. This is the most difficult and probably most famous part of the circuit here, the castle section. Not really a distinct braking reference going into this corner, but you will be in 4th initially, and I like to keep 4th gear throughout this apex. If you go down to 3rd, you will have better RPM, but staying in 4th means the car is more predictable and more consistent, and you don't have to deal with a downshift unsettling the balance of the car going into this corner. And that is really what is the most critical thing here, is confidence. It's all about confidence going through this section of corner, close to the wall on the inside, close to the wall on the outside as well, and you're looking to keep the braking zone as you rise up and over the crest here as straight as possible on the outside of the circuit to open up the following right-hander. No distinct braking reference here, you'll just have to do it off instinct and feeling, but something so critical is to keep the car composed as you rise up and over the crest here. The rear tyres are really suffering with a lack of grip at this corner because you've done so many corners, so many traction zones, and you're just really struggling with such a soft compound and such a sensitive tyre on the temperature as well. So your rear tyres will be really struggling for grip as you come up and over the crest here, and something you can really do is just slow in, fast out. That's absolutely critical during this corner section. 2 wheels on the inside curbing here, and then run on the outside white line as much as possible. If you go wider than this and you go all 4 tires past this white line, then you will get an invalidation when you're going at full speed. So just keep that in mind. Keep 2 wheels inside the white line there to keep your lap valid. Running up easily flat out for the next left-hander and into one of the most difficult braking zones on the circuit, to be honest. Actually, generally on the calendar, because as you can see, it's completely blind at the moment. You can't even properly see the corner, so you're really having to do a strange braking line as well. You'll be braking where the curb starts on the right hand side, and if you want to be a bit more conservative, brake at the 100-meter board into this corner, going into third person camera so you can see it a little bit better. As you can see, the white line is curved going into this corner, so it's not completely straight. So now you have to approach from basically the left hand side of the circuit, edging on the middle part of the circuit to then get your racing line optimal going into the following left-hander. So as you can see on this trajectory that we're traveling at the moment, keeping the steering wheel completely straight, you're going to see that we end up optimally using up all the road possible and as close as we can get to the wall on the outside of the circuit before turning in for the left-hander. This is why it's critical to be approaching at such an aggressive angle, because now by keeping the steering wheel straight in all of the braking zone, we have approached to use the maximum track whip going into this left-hander. Down into third gear, clip 2 wheels on the inside curbing. You don't really want to go further than this, otherwise the car gets thrown up in the air and it can become a bit of a disaster. On the exit here, just try to avoid hitting the wall, but if you do, focus on hitting the wall with your tyre, because in the F1 game, to be honest, the tyre is more strong than the front wing. If you hit it with the front wing, you're pretty much guaranteed to get damage, but if you're looking to avoid the front wing damage, you can hit the tyre on the wall to avoid getting that situation. Of course, that more applies when you're on standard damage. If you're on simulation, avoid the wall as much as you can, otherwise it's going to be lap over or race over in your situation. Down into the final braking zone of the lap, you're going to be braking 65 meters before the corner. Of course, 60 if you want to be a bit more braver, 65, 70 if you want to be a bit more conservative. Down into third gear, 2 wheels on the inside curbing is the optimal way to go here and really attack it, then throttle. Just be so careful on the throttle here. A lot of modulation is required. 2 wheels on the outside curbing. Don't go too wide, otherwise you will bottom out. get wheel spin, and ruin your very critical exit here onto the straight that connects you back to the start finish line. Easily flat out, take the curb on the inside, take the curb on the inside again, like I say, easily flat out through that segment, and now up until the DRS activation zone here with the DRS activated. If you're on a qualifying lap, keep the car to the left hand side of the circuit to minimize distance, keep the steering wheel completely straight here, and this is your track guide here in Baku. So let's take a look at the setup and how we would be adjusting it. At the moment, the world record is by Daniel Brendon, and as you can see, this is the setup that he used for that lap. So instantly, I would be putting the front tire pressure, bang, straight up, and just making sure that that is going to be more stable. And then the rear tire pressure, you really have two choices. You can either keep it on lowest, what's going to reward you in the first sector a little bit more, but make the car more difficult towards the end of the lap, or you can go slightly higher, 21, 22 on the rear PSI. That's going to basically help you towards the end of the lap as well. Speaking about this is a good balance, to be honest. Of course, it's not going to be peak lap time potential because it is just a time trial setup. But to be honest, in terms of balance, it'll be a-okay. I would recommend putting this up to 35, 40, maybe even further if you want more stability in the car. But yeah, the higher that you go on this, the car will have more stability. The lower that you go, the car will have more rotation. Of course, that rotation come at the cost of stability. So yeah, just play with that. But I'd probably say about 40, 35 as a good baseline to go with. And then the wings are pretty standard as well. So with that being said, let's head over to the full speed qualifying lap example and how I attack the lap. How to master Baku on F1 2025. Turn 1, brake where the curb starts on the right hand side and down into third gear. Use 5% of the overtake button on the exit. Corner 2 is all about maximizing your traction on the exit of the corner here to get as high top speed down this following straight as possible. Burn the battery down to 80%. 100-meter board will be your braking point of choice down into third gear. Bring the car over to the left-hand side to open up the following right. Use the curbing on the inside, and that's going to be a theme around this circuit. Hug the inside barrier as much as you can to open up the following right and burn the battery down to 86% on the exit. Minimize any chance of rear locking through here, as if you do, it will overheat your rear tires, costing you traction following this sequence. Into the castle section, full confidence, full send, and now you have to be absolutely focused on not oversliding your rear tires on the exit there, as the tires are starting to overheat and lose grip as the lap unfolds. Into the most difficult braking zone of the whole circuit, attack the inside curbing and into the final braking zone as well. Brake 60 meters before the apex, attack the curbing as much as possible. On the exit here, use the overtake button all the way to the start finish line, easily flat out through these two corners, and now you're focused all the way just to minimizing the distance and open up the DLS one final time here in Baku. Up to the start finish line, and this has been a hot lap around a very difficult street circuit. We do a 1:37.343 and our sector times are 34.5, a 39.1 and a 23.5 as well. So hopefully this video has been helpful for you on how you can master this such difficult circuit and really sensitive tires around here. So avoid rear sliding, avoid locking up the tires too much, as if you do, it'll put extra temperature into them. What is your enemy around this circuit? So with that being said, I've been Brendon Leigh, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Grazie ragazzi, ciao ciao, bye bye.